She can't even hold a job, my sister mocked loudly at the base party. Her officer turned, stared right at me and said, "SEAL Commander Harper, ma'am, we're ready." She choked on her drink. Her face went white. And the whole room fell silent. My name is Julia Harper. I'm 31 years old. And until that moment, everyone in that hall, including my own sister, thought I was just a nobody. It was the annual Navy base gathering. Officers, cadets, families, and support teams packed into the decorated event hall. There were trays of appetizers, military plaques on the wall, and a string quartet playing somewhere near the back. It was supposed to be a night of celebration, awards, speeches, and maybe even a slow dance or two under the flags. I had shown up late on purpose. Didn't want a scene. Didn't want attention. I wore a simple navy blue dress, hair in a loose bun. Civilian clothes, no insignia, no badge. Nobody recognized me, and that was exactly how I wanted it. But then I saw her. My younger sister, Melissa Harper, dressed in a fresh army uniform, standing with a cluster of junior officers, wine glass in hand, laughing like she was the queen of the room. She hadn't seen me in nearly 5 years. The last time we spoke, she called me a quitter for leaving our hometown and taking a classified job I couldn't talk about. She never asked questions after that, never cared to. And now? She was holding court with her friends, and I had a front row seat to her next punchline. "I mean, seriously," she said, smirking wide. Julia couldn't even hold a regular job, always quitting, always doing her own thing. She even threw up air quotes. Her friends laughed. Someone asked, "What does she even do now?" "Oh, who knows," Melissa scoffed. "Probably still playing video games in her apartment." I stayed still, didn't say a word, didn't flinch. Until a deep, clipped voice broke through the music. "Excuse me," he said, loud enough to cut the air. A tall man in full Navy dress uniform stood at the edge of their circle. Lieutenant Commander Rhodes, team leader, SEAL unit handler, decorated in Afghanistan, known for his discipline and zero tolerance for disrespect. He wasn't looking at Melissa, he was staring at me. The room quieted. Then he stepped forward, saluted, and said loud and clear, "SEAL Commander Harper, ma'am, we're ready for your debriefing." Melissa turned pale. The wine glass slipped in her hand and hit the floor, shattering beside her boot. She gasped, "Wait, what?" But Rhodes had already moved aside, letting me walk through the circle like the floor had shifted, and in that moment, my truth finally met her version of me and shattered it into pieces. Let me tell you what, Melissa never knew I didn't quit. I enlisted. At 23, I joined the Navy under a classified route, was transferred into BUD/S training in San Diego, and then selected for Elite Special Warfare Command. Over the years, I led 3 covert missions overseas, was deployed twice in South America, and most recently ran tactical planning for an anti-hostage recovery unit, but it wasn't public. I liked it that way. The secrecy wasn't for drama, it was for safety. The kind of safety that meant I couldn't even tell my family what I did. The kind of safety that came with encrypted phones and unmarked buildings. Melissa never even thought to ask. She just assumed my silence meant failure. And now? She couldn't breathe. As I walked across the polished floor with LT, Commander Rhodes flanking me, heads turned. Officers nodded. I heard murmurs, "Commander Harper? She's SEAL? Wait, that's Julia Harper." Yes, that's me. And for the first time, I didn't hide it. Melissa tried to follow me. "Julia, wait, can we talk?" I stopped at the door to the command wing. "I have a briefing." "Wait, you give briefings?" Rhodes turned slightly. "Only the top-ranked SEAL commanders do." Her face strained of all color. My voice stayed calm. "Maybe next time you laugh about someone's life, you should make sure you know what they actually do." And with that, the door closed behind me. Melissa was still frozen when I disappeared behind that door. And behind that door, silence. The kind of silence that buzzes with classified tension. I stepped into the SEAL Command debriefing room. Whiteboards full of tactical routes. A live satellite. Feet on the wall. Rhodes handed me the mission folder, secure, red tabbed. I flipped through it quickly. Routine intel extraction, but delicate enough to need someone with both field and planning command. The young officers inside stood the moment I entered. One of them, Ensign Walker, saluted and said, "Ma'am, full team assembled." I nodded. "Once, let's begin." For the next hour, we went through every line, routes, extraction windows, contingency protocols. No wasted time. This wasn't just planning, it was lives. They didn't see me as someone's sister. They saw a leader who'd been tested, who had bled with boots on and made impossible calls in the middle of blackouts. When it was over, Rhodes walked me out. "You good, Commander?" he asked, holding the door open. I smirked. "I'm always good." But as I stepped back into the hallway, I saw her Melissa still standing near the punch table, surrounded by her now silent friends. Her uniform slightly wrinkled, face pale, eyes locked on the door like it might open again and take her to an alternate reality. She spotted me and broke away from her group. "Julia, wait, please." I stopped walking, turned, met her eyes. "I didn't know," she said, voice small. "You never asked," I replied softly. She swallowed hard. "I didn't think I needed to. I thought you gave up on things. You never told anyone you joined." "I couldn't. It was classified." She blinked fast. "I told everyone you were lazy, that you couldn't keep a job." I raised an eyebrow. "You mean like leading international rescue operations, or like tracking arms smuggling routes across Europe?" Her mouth fell open. "I've spent the last 6 years coordinating ops with foreign governments, navigating political minefields, and pulling people out of caves while the rest of the world slept," I continued. "And you were busy counting likes on your military post." That one stung. I saw it hit her. Tears formed in the corners of her eyes, but she held them back. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just so proud of what I was doing, and I thought you weren't doing anything." "That's the difference, Melissa. You needed the world to see you win. I just needed to make sure the mission didn't fail." We stood there for a moment, two sisters. Same blood, but different battlefields. The base party had changed. The officers weren't laughing anymore. They weren't fawning over Melissa. Most of them had heard what Rhodes said. Most had realized who I was. One senior captain even walked past and saluted me with a respectful nod. Melissa noticed. Her cheeks flushed. She whispered, "They're looking at you like you're a hero." I shrugged. "I'm not. I'm just doing my job." "But they respect you." I looked her in the eye. "Because I earned it." She bit her lip. "I haven't even been on my first real deployment yet." "Then maybe stop performing and start preparing." Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time she let one fall. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I sighed, stepped closer, and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "I'm not angry," I said. "But I won't let you keep painting a story that was never yours to tell." She nodded slowly. That night, back in my quarters, I opened my locker and pulled out a small wooden box. Inside were 3 medals, none of them public. No news clips, no articles. Just quiet commendations for service that most people will never know even happened. I held one in my palm and stared at it for a moment. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Melissa. "Can we talk more sometime? I want to know who you really are, and maybe who I can become." I stared at that message for a long time, then typed back 2 words. "Anytime, sis, because maybe. Just maybe." This wasn't the end of our story. It was finally the start. A week later, I was back on base, this time not for a party, but for training evaluations. I'd been asked to observe a new class of recruits going through tactical readiness drills. Nothing fancy. Just eyes on leadership presence to remind them the brass pays attention. I kept my hair tied up. Wore the standard SEAL tactical suit. No makeup. No rank pinned on my chest because everyone already knew. They knew the face, and they knew the name. Commander Julia Harper. Silent, strategic, respected. And then I saw her, Melissa. Not in her fancy party dress this time. No glass of wine. No crowd to impress. She was in PT gear, sweat dripping down her forehead, fingers trembling slightly. As she reset the scope on our training rifle. She was trying hard. She noticed me at the edge of the field and froze. I nodded. A silent gesture of acknowledgement, not praise. Not forgiveness, just respect. She nodded back. Kept going. For the first time, I saw her doing the work without needing an audience. And for the first time, I felt something shift, not just in her, but in us. Later that afternoon, I sat alone at the back of the chow hall when Melissa walked over with a tray. "Can I sit?" she asked. Sure, she didn't speak for a few minutes. Just stay quietly. Then, softly, I applied for recon training. I looked up. Yeah? They said it's tough. Most people quit. It is. And most do. She met my eyes. I won't. There was a fierceness in her voice now, not performative. Not for show. Just honest. I pushed my tray back slightly and leaned in. Why now? She swallowed. Because for the first time, I want to do something that matters. And I believed her. You'll have to earn it. No shortcuts, no name dropping. No, she said quickly. I don't want it handed to me. I want it the hard way. I smiled. That's the only way worth doing it. As the weeks passed, I watched from a distance. Melissa ran harder, drilled longer. Failed tests and retook. Them, she wasn't perfect, but she didn't fold. She didn't make excuses, and she never mentioned my name to anyone. Not once. She wanted her own path, and I respected that more than anything. One morning, I found a folded paper slipped under my office door. Handwritten. Dear Commander Harper, today I passed my recon qualification test. I didn't do it to prove you wrong. I did it to prove myself right. Thank you for showing me what quiet strength really looks like, Melissa. I didn't cry, but I did fold it carefully and place it in the same wooden box as my medals, because sometimes the greatest missions don't involve helicopters or enemy lines. Sometimes it's just showing someone that the battlefield is bigger than they think. And sometimes the sister who mocked you becomes the sister who mirrors you.